Hi, welcome to my video on solving equations following the order of operations. Recall the distributive property. A times x plus b is A times x plus A times b. Note, there's a multiplication sign understood to be between x, A and x, and A and b. Let's simplify each of these by using the distributive property of multiplication. 2 times x, 2x. 2 times 3, 6. Negative 4 times 2x, negative 8x. Negative 4 times negative 7, plus 28. You notice the 2 is multiplied by both of these on the inside. The negative 4 is multiplied by both terms on the inside. Practice. Pause your video, work these out, play it back to see you're right. Simplify. 3 times x, 3x. 3 times negative 4, negative 12. Negative 5 times 3x, negative 15x. Negative 5 times 1, negative 5. Negative 6 times negative x, positive 6x. Negative 6 times negative 2, positive 12. 7 times 2x, 14x. 7 times 5, 35. So note distributive property. When solving a linear equation in one variable, obtain the order, obey the order of operations. That means PEMDAS, BEDMAS. P and B stands for brackets or exponents, brackets or parentheses. Parentheses or brackets, and we always do the inside first. So always do the inside of the brackets or parentheses first. Then we do E, which is the exponents next, or powers. And then we do multiplication, division, or division, multiplication from left to right. And then we do the last is addition and subtraction from left to right. That's the order. That is, remove the brackets by the distributive property. Multiply before adding or subtracting. So let's work out some of these. First one, 3 times x, 3x. 3 times 2, 6. So when we do PEMDAS, P-E-M, just to make sure, the inside the brackets can't be added, so that's done. There's no exponents, so that's done. So we're going to multiply these two, this first before we deal with the 6. We multiplied 3 times x and 3 times 2. Now that's done. Now we'll add and subtract. So the x's stay on the left and numbers go on the right. So the plus 6 goes over to become minus 6 because we're transposing. We do the opposite. So 3x equals 0. We divide by 3. And we have the x's, the 3's cancel. So because 0 divided by 3 is 0. B. Notice we have a double negative, so we'll make that a positive. And again, P-E-M-D-A-S. We have x minus 1 can't simplify. There's no exponent at the top of the bracket, so that's done. And we have to multiply these two before we add these two. So negative 6x plus 10. Negative 2 times x, negative 2x. Negative 2 times negative 1 is 2. So the multiplication division is done. And now we add and subtract. So notice the x's have to go to the left. So negative 6. The negative 2 becomes a plus 2 on the left. And the 10 moves over to the right. Plus 10 becomes minus 10. Because when you transpose, you change a plus to a minus to a plus. Add up the like terms now. That's 4x and negative 8. 2 subtract 10 is negative 8, and we divide by negative 4. The 4 is cancelled to give me a 1. I could put a 1 there, but no need. There's a 1 right there because they cancel out. And negative 8 divided by negative 4 is a 2. So, as you can see, remove the brackets and then continue to simplify. More examples? Let's see, we have to do If we think about PEMDAS, PEMDAS, let's see. Can't add these. Can't add those. No exponents up at the top, only a 1. So we have to multiply these two. We have to multiply this, and we leave the -1 till last. -4 times -2 is 8x. -4 times 3 is -12. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 2 is 10. So the multiplication division is done. Or actually no division, is all multiplication. And so we should simplify each side before we transpose, sorry. So the 5x, 10 minus 1 is 9. Simplifying each side first allows us to not to transpose so many numbers. So move the x over to the left. Plus 5 becomes a minus. And the -12 becomes a +12. We're adding on the opposite. When you transpose, you do the opposite sign. That's a 3x when we add, and that's a 21 when we add, and we divide by 3, so we get x equals 7. Remember the 3's, 3 and the 3 goes once, and that's a 1, understood. D. Again, you follow the PEMDAS, PEMDAS is a little, you got to be careful here, because most students will go 8 plus 2 and get 10. If that was in a bracket, yes, you could go 8 plus 2 is 10, but it's not. So that means you have to obey the order of operations. They can't be subtracted because they're on like terms. I have no exponent up on top of here. Well, I got an exponent of 1, but I'm talking about a 2 or a 3. So I have to multiply. So notice I multiply these two here. I leave the 8 alone, and I leave the -18 alone. So I will multiply these two first. So 2 times 5 is plus 10x. 2 times -3 is -6. So the multiplication is done. Now I will group the left side, so that's a 2. So if I simplify each side before I transpose, it makes it easier. 8 subtract 6 is 2. Now, no more x's, only the 10. There's no x's on the right side to move to the left. The 2 goes over, so I got a -18 minus 2. That's a plus 2, becomes a minus 2. 10x equals -20. -18 subtract 2 is -20. And then I divide by 10. So x equals -2. Again, the 10's cancel to give you 1x, 1. Now, practice means pause the video, work these on a sheet of paper, and play back to see if you're going to get them right. Here we go. PEMDAS, PEMDAS, I can't spell now. PEMDAS, can't add those and can't add those because they're on like terms. No exponents up at the top, only a 1. So we multiply and divide. There we go. 7 times x, 7x. 7 times 1, 7. 3 times x, 3x. 3 times 3, 9 equals -14. Add up the like terms because we've got to simplify. That's a 10x. Now I could group them together, or it's just so easy. You just look at 7x and 3x to get 10. And 7 and 9 is 16. So you could group your like terms together, put the 7 and the 3 close to each other, and then add after. There's your choice. You could do 7x plus 3x plus 7 plus 9 equals -14. So you could do this step first, this one right here, and then simplify each side. But you can see that 7 and 3 is 10, and 7 and 9 is 16 very easily. So if you avoid this step, you're just saving time. There's no more x's. The x's are already on the left side. So I got a -14. That's a plus 16, becomes a -16. 10x equals -30. And I divide by 10, because the opposite of multiplication is division. 10 divided by 10 is 1. So I get x equals -3. Number 2. Look through Again, PEMDAS, P-E-M. So after a while, when you get used to this, you know that you can't do anything with these inside of these brackets. Okay, there's no exponents except for 1, so that's okay. So I have to multiply these two, and these two, and these two, and we leave the 24 by itself. Leave it alone till after. Now you would say, how come you didn't do this? That's not a multiplication. But remember the trick here. You could write this as what? As adding on the negative 4x plus 1, because when you subtract, you add on the opposite. But if you put a 1 right here, now you have a negative 1 times that bracket. It's a little trick that I use. Helps. The subtraction is always trouble. So putting a 1 in front, now I can do a multiplication along with the other two. Here we go. 3 times 3x is 9x. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Negative 1 times 4 is negative 4x. And negative 1 times negative 1 plus 1. So notice you got a negative 4x plus 1. That's the same as up right here when you add it on the opposite. Negative 2 times x, negative 2x, negative 2 times 7, negative 14, and your plus 24. So I didn't need, I just put that there, but I went down lower line, so just erase that out. Now group simplify each side before you start to transpose. Again, the x's are easy to do here. You can see that that's going to be a 5x, and you see that that's going to be negative 14. Right here, I got a negative 2x, and negative 14, 24 is a plus 10. So, again, if you want to group them together and add them up after, do an extra step, go ahead. Now I have to put the x's on the left, so minus 2 becomes a plus 2x, and minus 14 becomes a plus 14. So the negative 2x moves over to become plus 2x. Minus 14 becomes a plus 14. Add. I get 7x and 24. And divide by 7. And 24. 7, 3 7s are 21 and 3 7s. So this is a mixed number. But again, if these numbers came out, I'm just checking to see if everything is okay. Yep. If this was a 21, I would get a 3. If it was a 28, I get a 4. But 7 and 24 goes 3 and 3 7s. 3 7s are 21 and 3 left over. So we'll leave that. That will happen. You'll see that coming up. Practice, again, means pause your video and work out all of these and see how you're going to make out. When you're finished, press play. Here we go, PEMDAS. Can't do anything inside of these, notice. They're on like terms. And exponents, only ones. So we'll multiply these two, and these two, and these two. Negative 9 times x, negative 9x. Negative 9 times 1, 9. 4 times x, 4x. 4 times 2, 8 equals negative 6 times x, negative 6x. Negative 6 times negative 3, plus 18. So notice I could do the arrows, but now since you're getting, hopefully you're getting used to it, each number on the outside is multiplied by each term on the inside, so you can see. Group these together. So negative 9 and 4 is negative 5x. 9 and 8 is 17. This is already simplified on the right side. Now that I have both sides simplified, x's and first and then numbers. So negative 5x, negative 6 becomes a plus 6x. Negative 6x becomes a plus 6x. And the 18, bring over the 17, make it a minus. So notice the x's go to the left and you change the signs. The numbers go to the right and you change the signs. Negative 5 and 6 is just x, 1x. 1 is understood. 18 subtract 17 is 1. Number 4. Again, we can't add these. You always check, can I do anything with these brackets inside here? No. Can I add these? No, because they're on like terms. So, no exponents, so I'll multiply. Here we go. Negative 6x. Negative 3 times plus 3. Oops, almost made an error. That's a negative 9. 3 times x, 3x. 3 times 3, 9. That's a negative. So the plus 3x goes to the left, become a minus. The minus 9 moves over to become a plus 9. That's a negative 9. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. Add up. Negative 6, negative 3 is negative 9x. 9 plus 9 is 18. Divide by negative 9. And x equals negative 2. And number 5, let's see. We have, double negative. So let's make that a plus. And we can't do anything with these because they're unlike terms. We can't do anything with these because they're unlike terms. So notice we have a multiplication here and a multiplication here. So notice we'll write down the negative 3x and we'll write down the 7. So we're multiplying these two and these two, and we'll write down the 8. 9 times x plus 9x. 9 times negative 1, negative 9. Got that multiplication done. So notice the negative 3x and the plus 8, you leave them till after because that's being added. We leave the 7 alone, and notice we got to multiply the negative 2 times negative 4 is 8x. And we got to multiply the negative 2 by the 1, which is negative 2. Again, most students would call that a 9, but you got to be careful. You can't subtract those until you get your multiplication done. So that's why I draw a line and multiply. Draw a line, make sure I multiply. Now I will simplify each side. So when I simplify this, I get a 6x and a negative 1. And I simplify this, I get an 8x. 7 minus 2 is 5. Perfect. X's go to the left. 6x is already there. And the 8 comes over to become a minus 8x. And we got a 5, and the negative 1 becomes plus 1. X is on the left and numbers on the right. When you transpose, you change signs. Negative 2x. 6 minus 8 is negative 2. 5 and 1 is 6. Divide by negative 2. And I get x equals negative 3. And number 6, let's see. Remember now, PEMDAS. So we always check. Can I do anything inside here? Oh, yes, sure. Look, just look. 3x minus x is 2x. So the inside of this one can be simplified. And if you do, well, you have to obey the order of operations. And this can be simplified. That's an x plus a 5. The 8 minus 3 is a 5. So now we have the inside done. We have no exponents up at the top except the 1, so that's done. We have to multiply these two and multiply these two. Because that's, even though that's a subtract, we could treat it as a negative 2 times that. Reason is that that's a negative 2, so really that's a plus negative 2. So now you got a negative, because that's a plus, because you got a plus a negative there, then you see that's negative 2 times this. So that was the same as just then. There was a negative 2 outside, so we do a multiplication. So we multiply 8, 16, negative 2x, negative 10. Done. Simplify the left side. 6x plus 6 equals 0. We add up the x's, add up the numbers. Again, you could group them together, but when you know what you're doing, take a shortcut. And 6x is okay, is on the left. The plus 6 goes to the right, become a minus 6. And then we divide each side by 6. And we get, no, 6 divided by 6 is 1. 1 times x is x. And we have the end of this video. So obeying the order of operations is always important, extremely important in math. And distributive property is extremely important. So if you like my video, click the like button. If you're not a subscriber, click the subscribe button. Click the notification bell because there's more videos coming. Always adding them on every week. Units, try to get units, take me a while. Write a comment on the video if you wish, if you're a subscriber, and visit my math website, mathfullyexplained.com. And we have 3 sections. The first one on me is about my degrees and teaching experience. The section on video tells about the teaching strategy you're going to use to help you learn your math. And the content has the topics and the number of videos on that's going to be online on my YouTube channel. And the black font is what's online already. And the red font is what will be coming online in the near future. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.